Hello students, hope you all are doing good.
Okay, let's get to the main point. Today we'll begin the first chapter of physics, that is physical quantities and measurement. I'll actually divide the entire chapter into 3 video lessons. Okay, so first, what actually measurement is. You all know what measurement is. In every, not only physics, in every aspect of life we need measurement. Even if you're cooking something or you're building something, you need to measure it, right? Whenever you're cooking something, you need to measure all the quantities perfectly. Okay, in each and every quantity that we actually use, the each and everything we use in every aspect of life, we need to measure it, and we need to measure it perfectly. Everything, if you say about cooking or if you say about building something, whenever anyone is building anything, that is something like house or whatever it is, you need to measure the area perfectly, you need to measure the height perfectly, everything. So not only in physics, in every aspect of life we need to measure quantity, and we need to measure it perfectly. Okay, that is the main purpose of measurement. Now let's talk about your syllabus. First thing in your syllabus is the measurement of volume. Okay, whenever you're measuring something, suppose you're measuring something like length, you're measuring a length of it may be length of a road or height of a building. Okay, the unit we actually use to measure it, the mostly used unit is meter, right? Whenever you're measuring the height of a building, you're measuring it with meter. Suppose the height of a building is 15 meter or 20 meter. Okay, so what do we understand about 20 meter? Then 20 meter is actually 20 times of a meter, like this, something like this. Wait for a second. 20 times of a meter, that means whenever you're writing 20 meters, that actually means 20 times of 1 meter, right? That means we are taking a fixed measurement of 1 meter, and for 20 meters we actually understand that 20 times of a meter. Then we actually get some ideas about what or how will be the length or height of the building, right? Okay, so that is the purpose and that is the process of measurement. We are taking something as a fixed and we measure how many times that quantity is with respect to that fixed quantity. Okay, let's get to the main point. Then first thing you have in your syllabus is measurement of volume. In this video I'll only cover the measurement of volume, and in next 2 videos I'll cover the measurement of area and then measurement of speed. Just wait for a second. Okay, first you need to learn what volume is. Volume is nothing but something, the amount of space an object is occupying is known as its volume, right? You have already learned it in previous classes, that the amount of space that an object occupies is actually its volume. Okay, so what unit we actually use to measure volume? We can only measure the volume of something or objects which are 3-dimensional. 3-dimensional means which will have length, breadth and a certain height. For example, a piece of paper, the volume is actually negligible because the area is actually equal to volume, because the height of the piece of paper is negligible. So you can consider it as a 2-dimensional. But for a cube, I'm just drawing it roughly. for a cube, it will have length, breadth and height, three of them. So it is a three-dimensional geometrical figure. Okay, so if the cube is of length 1 meter, okay, we know that the length, breadth and height of a cube are always equal. If the length is 1 meter, the breadth will be also 1 meter and height will also be 1 meter. So it makes the volume, the formula of volume is length into breadth into height, that will be equal to 1 meter into 1 meter into 1 meter. So it will make the volume 1 meter cube. So this is the unit of volume, that is meter cube. Okay, so to find out the unit of volume, just put a cube over the unit of length. So if you are measuring the length in meter, then the volume of the object you will measure in meter cube. If you are measuring the length in centimeter, you will measure the volume of that object with centimeter cube. Okay, so next that you have in your book is unit cube. What I have drawn here is actually a unit cube. A unit cube is whose length, breadth and height is equal to 1 meter or 1 centimeter. That is unity. For unity, we actually understand 1. Unity means 1 in physics. So unit cube means a cube whose length, breadth and height, three of them are either 1 meter or 1 centimeter or 1 millimeter, whatever unit you are taking to measure length, it will be unit. Then it will be called a unit cube. Okay. Alright, let's understand the concept of unit cube more clearly. Okay, so here what I have drawn, some cubes. These are actually looking like 2-dimensional, but this is actually 3-dimensional. That is, each and every one is a cube. Now let's consider each cube. For each cube, the volume is 1 centimeter cube, each cube. So how many cubes are there? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 2s are 12. So if you are building, suppose you are building a wall, you are building a wall with some bricks having volume 1 centimeter cube, a small wall. So the volume of the wall, what will be the volume of the wall? That will be the number of cubes. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 2s are 12. So the volume of the wall will be 12 centimeter cube. Pretty easy, right? So this is the actual concept of unit cube. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. Next, what we have here is measurement of capacity. Capacity is nothing but actually a measurement of volume. So we know that every container has certain capacity. Okay, for solid you can measure its length, breadth, height and also volume. But for liquid or gases, I'm talking about here only about liquid. For liquids, you cannot measure the length, breadth or height. You can only measure the volume, right? And to measure the volume, you have to have some container. And it will always occupy the same space, almost the same space the container will occupy. Or in other words, you can say that the inner volume of the container will be equal to the volume of the liquid. If you pour the liquid into the container up to the brim, of course up to the brim, it should be non-empty. Okay, so how can we define capacity then? The internal volume of any container is actually called its capacity. Okay, what capacity is? You all heard the term capacity. Capacity means its holding capacity, its holding capability. How much liquid it is able to hold is known as the capacity of the container, in simple words. Okay, this is the main concept of capacity. The term is actually used to measure the volume of the liquid. And to measure the volume of the liquid, since it does not have certain shape, it's shapeless. It always acquires the shape of the container into which you're pouring the liquid, or you're taking the liquid. Okay, so to measure the volume of the liquid in lab, we have different containers, mainly as an example, graduated cylinder or graduated beaker or burette. Graduated cylinder, graduated beaker. Why this term graduated is used in it? Because the containers have scales on it. Okay, by looking at the scales, we can measure the volume of the liquid pretty easily. The containers look something like that, something like this. The first image here is called graduated cylinder. This one is called graduated cylinder. You know, this is a cylindrical shaped vessel, and which is marked the scale. You can clearly see the scale. And this is called graduated beaker. Okay, that is a little bit bigger than the graduated cylinder, and this is called a burette. These things we actually use in the lab to measure the capacity of a liquid or the volume of the liquid. Okay, next thing that you have to learn about the meniscus. So what meniscus is? Meniscus is nothing but the upper surface of the liquid. The upper surface of the liquid, most of the liquids, the upper surface is not straight. You can clearly see that whenever you're pouring the liquid into suppose water, you're pouring or you're taking a water in a very thin vessel, okay, so you can clearly see that the upper surface of the water will never be straight. It will be something like this, right? It will be curved. Okay, whenever you're pouring liquid into a measuring cylinder, that surface forms a curve. This is known as the meniscus. This is known as the meniscus of the liquid. Okay, for the meniscus, we mainly have two types of meniscus. That is concave meniscus and convex meniscus. Okay, excuse me for my bad drawing, because I'm doing the entire work over the phone. So what is concave meniscus? Concave meniscus actually the case that you can see for water. Whenever you're pouring water into a, okay, to clearly observe that you have to have some thin vessel, right? You cannot clearly see it whenever you're pouring the water in a bucket or even in a glass. You have to have something more thin, like a test tube. Okay, if you have ever seen the test tube, you'll understand that. Okay, so whenever you're observing that in detail, you'll see that it will form a surface like this. The upper surface of the water will be like this. Okay, this is called a concave meniscus. Okay, for those liquids which actually wets the surface of the vessel, that those liquids actually forms the concave meniscus. And for the other hand, we have convex meniscus, that you can see for the case of mercury. Okay, you can clearly observe that in any thermometer, any mercury thermometer if you have, then you can clearly observe that the upper surface of the mercury will be like this in upward direction. It will form a surface something like this. This is called convex meniscus. Okay, those liquids which does not wet the surface of the wall of the container forms convex meniscus like this. Okay, to find out the reading of the capacity or the volume of the liquid having concave meniscus, you have to look for this point. Okay, the point I am doing with yellow, this point you have to see. Okay, you have to see from the scale of the respected container that you're using to measure the volume. Okay, you have to see the point of the scale which is actually coinciding with this point. Okay, you must not look for this point, you must not look for this point, you have to look for this point, the lower point. And for those liquid which forms the convex meniscus, you have to get the reading from the uppermost level. That means this point, not this point, not this point. From this point, you have to look on the scale which mark of the scale is coinciding with this point. Okay. And also, whenever you are measuring the volume of the liquid or capacity of the liquid, mainly volume of the liquid, you have to look the scale perpendicularly. That means at right angle or at 90 degrees. Okay, now to measure the volume of solid, we have two types of solid here. One which have certain geometrical shape and one which does not have any certain shape. Okay, first, those objects which have a certain geometrical shape, like a sphere. Sphere means a ball shape. Sphere or a cube or a cuboid or a cylindrical shape or cylinder, you all are familiar with these shapes. Okay, to find out the volume of the cube, you need to use this formula. Sorry, let's change the color in black. Okay, you need to use this formula, a cube, a equal to one side of the cube, and we all know that each side of the cube measures the same. Okay, next for cuboid, we have length and breadth and height. So to find out the volume, just multiply these three, length multiplied by breadth multiplied by height. Okay, for sphere means ball shape. For sphere, we can measure the volume using this formula, 4 by 3 pi r cube, where r is the radius of the sphere and pi means 22 by 7. Okay, you'll learn it in mathematics. And for cylinder we use the formula pi r square h, where r is the radius of the cylinder and h is the height of the cylinder, and pi means the same. Okay, these formulas we can use to measure the volume of regular solids. That means those solids which have some regular geometrical shapes. But how will you measure the volume of those solids which does not have any regular geometrical shape? Okay, we will use the method displacement of liquid. We will use the method displacement of liquid. We know that whenever you are immersing means you are dipping a solid into a liquid. Suppose a small piece of rock, a pebble which does not have any specific geometrical shape. Okay, whenever you are immersing it inside a liquid like water, it will always displace some liquid, and the volume of the displaced liquid will be equal to its own volume, right? Alright, this is the method which we will actually follow to measure the volume of an irregular solid. Okay, so this is a measuring cylinder that you are seeing on the screen. This is a measuring cylinder. First, we have taken some water. Okay, this measures in ml. Okay, milliliter. You can clearly see from here that it says milliliter. That means the scaling is in milliliter. Okay, and the water in the first image is up to the 0.60. Up to the 0.60. That means the volume of the water that has been taken is 60 ml. 60 ml of water has been taken, and next what you have to do is just tie the solid with some thread and completely immerse it. I repeat, completely immerse it inside the liquid, and you'll see the upper height of the liquid will rise. Okay, for this case it straight goes up to the point 80. That means now the volume of the liquid with the solid is 80 ml, and you know that the solid will displace the same volume of water of its own. Okay, so the volume of the solid will be 80 minus 60, that means 20 ml, 20 milliliter. Okay, so this is the method that we actually follow to measure the volume of a irregular solid or a solid having no fixed geometrical shape. Okay, another thing that we use to measure the volume of an irregular solid, whenever the solid is too large, a little bit bigger, we use an overflow jar. So an overflow jar looks something like this. Wait. It's a very rough diagram, so excuse me for pretty bad drawing. Okay, this is an overflow jar. First we take water or some liquid. Okay, you have to use the liquid which actually will not react with the solid. Okay, if you take some liquid that actually react with the solid, the measurement will not be right, because chemical reaction will start and thus the mass will be changed or mass will be altered. Okay, so not to mention that you have to take the liquid must not react with the solid that you are taking. This is called an overflow jar. First you have to take a liquid up to this point, and whenever you are immersing a solid into it, the level of the liquid will rise, and just put another container here, so liquid will fall over here, and the volume of this liquid will be equal to the volume of this solid. Okay, just you have to measure the volume of this liquid. Okay, just use another measuring cylinder to measure the volume of this liquid. Alright, now the thing I actually forgot to mention, the unit I'm constantly talking about or I'm taking is milliliter. Okay, I forgot to mention about liters and milliliter. Liter and milliliter are actually the units that we use to measure the capacity or measure the volume of the liquids actually. So we are familiar with the unit centimeter cube or meter cube. Actually 1 ml is equal to 1 centimeter cube. It makes 1 liter. 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml, right? And 1000 ml means 1000 centimeter cube. Okay, for centimeter cube we also write it as cc, that is centimeter cube. Okay, this is the conversion. The unit we actually use to measure the volume of the liquid is mostly used unit is liter and milliliter, and 1 liter is equal to actually 1000 cc or 1000 centimeter cube, which we already have learned earlier. Okay, this concludes the first section of the video, that means the measurement and the measurement of the volume of liquid and solid both. And if you have any question, you can use the comment section below, and the next video will be on measurement of area. Okay.